Welcome back. Today we're going to do some minor plastic deformation repair. You can see those two little license plate screw holes down there. There's not actually holes, they're just pushed in a little bit, deformed, so we're going to reshape them, reshape the plastic. Maybe we'll weld a little plastic in there if we have to, fill in any holes or whatever, but here we go. First thing to do is heat up the plastic. I always prefer to heat the back side up first. Do most of it here. And I'll come through here a little on the front side to make sure my heat actually penetrates the whole thing. Now I'm just going to take my hammer, I'm going to work up these low points. I'm going to start at that first, alright, and then we'll go from there. Yeah. If you notice, I'm always usually putting my hand somewhere close to where I'm doing the repairs. What that does is it helps me isolate the area that I'm working on. Helps me pinpoint it, alright? Otherwise, I could affect a larger area and I don't always want that. Sometimes I want that, but not always, right? In this case, when I'm just trying to work those, I don't really want a larger area affected, so I'm going to put a restrictor on it so it doesn't really affect too much around it. Now I'm just going to work a lot of these low points out first. I generally will go for low points first, high spots second. Just kind of really depends on the severity of it. The main thing is that we want to get rid of any extremes here. That's the whole part of this plastic working that we're working towards, is getting rid of the extremes. We don't want any high points, we don't want any severe low points. We want to work it so the wave is a lot less significant, right? And then we can start fine tuning, then we can start playing with it, and we can start planing the surface again. Move the plastic a little bit. Sometimes it's best to go back through, reheat it again, make sure that when you're doing the shaping, you're actually shaping the plastic. When you're trying to work plastic that's not heated, it doesn't really shape as well. It doesn't stay shaped, I should say. So make sure you're keeping everything nice and warm. Not hot, but warm. You want to make the plastic pliable. You're really trying to get it so it's workable. It's like putty. A lot of times I like going back over areas that I'll work to and heat it up again, and I'll see if the plastic starts deforming yet again. And then usually if it does, it means the plastic is still not right around the area. So that usually means we have to go some other length, whether it's welding, whether it's just melting that area down to actually reform a new normal, I guess you could say. Starting a video series soon, talking about plastic, the science behind it. It'll be really sciencey, so it might not be for everybody. Those who really want to figure out what's going on in my brain, you're going to want to not miss that. When you're pushing, you always want to go a little bit farther than normal because the plastic is going to want to relax. Alright? It's going to settle. So what I do is I always push it a little bit more. And then if anything, you come through and give it a nice little gentle massage back down, straighten the surface. great part about plastic, very, very workable. Forgiving. Alright. Now see, you see those areas of deformation. That one's worked out pretty well, but that one's not really wanting to work out well. So we're going to have to get into maybe doing a little more extreme reformation. Do here, take a point. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to get right on the inside of that ring, right where the most of the deformation is, right on that line where it's kind of sliced through the surface of the plastic. I'm trying to push right up on that point. Right, and what's going to happen is on the backside when we're done, we'll weld a little bit of plastic on the backside of it to make sure that we haven't lost any of our structural integrity in the area through there. Right, and then on the front side here, once we've gotten it shaped like we want it, all we have to do is just sand it out. Maybe add a little bit of plastic there, a little small pinholes or something like that's fine. Probably shouldn't have to worry too much about that. To be honest with you. A lot of this just comes with experience. You're not going to be great at this right out the gate, but just try it. Just try it. For me, I find it very, very enjoying to be able to straighten the surface, not using any kind of filler whatsoever. Right, to me, that's very enjoyable. See, on this one, we're going to have to weld the ring around it. It's cut pretty deep. That's why we're having a little bit of issues with it. Nothing major, but change that camera. Using this one better. I've used this for longer, and I've used the other one. Now I've got most of the main area. Now I'm going to start working the area surrounding everything. Alright, we'll come back through. We'll do a nice, good reheat all across our surface here because we're going to want to really work the whole surface. It shouldn't take us long to get any of it done. So I'm just going to heat up the entire surface. Okay. This won't warp the plastic. We're not causing enough heat to warp the plastic. Right? The only warping that will be done is when there's unnatural pressure in the plastic, right? And that's essentially what we're trying to fix. So as it warps out, it kind of gives us a pinpoint for where the damage is actually located. And it gives us like a road map kind of. See, just keep working my plastic, finding those low points, finding those places that do not seem right. Alright, you might ask, how do you know what's right and what's wrong? I explained in another video before, or when I used to do training, I would tell my guys to map out a section. So if you didn't know what was right and wrong in here, you find the last little area that hasn't been damaged, so over here, and you start your way in here. When you feel a low point, you'd circle it and you'd write low, or write an L on there. And the next point you come across, you feel a little high point, you'd write high on there, right? Now maybe that high point's caused by the low point, right? So you never want to just try to work at one spot and expect it to work, right? So I just told them to map it out, and it'll give them a visualization, work at how you thought it was supposed to be, and then see where you're at. Right? Once you finish working out that little section, right, you'll find out whether or not you're right or wrong with the higher loads, right? And then correct anything that's not right, but it's going to get you most of the way there. leave the paint on is because I can actually see reflections in the surface. And that's what I'm looking for, to know where to push on. Otherwise, I don't really know where to push. I'm using just fingertips, right? Your eyes can pick up so much more deviations in the plastic than your hand even can, right? Let's take a look down the surface. You know, we're starting to get there. We need to work a little bit more down this way. This area is looking pretty good. That area is looking pretty good, so basically we're going to start working everything over this way now. So we'll heat it up a little bit again, not too much. Now mind you, if you're heating this up to the point where it's actually like melting the plastic and making it all messed up and marred back in here, it's too hot. You don't need it that hot. You can actually start causing yourself more problems in the long run. Don't get it that hot, not necessary. Keep the heat to a more manageable level. Alright? It might mean you have to heat it up a little bit more often, but at the end of the day, you're not going to have severely deformed area. Keep that in mind. See, now we work that area now, so now that's flowing in nicely. A little bit more rain through here. Now over time you'll develop more of an eye for this as you get going into it. Sometimes you just have to rely on a lot of your senses to really work the plastic, find what's right and wrong, correct it. I think that's looking pretty good. This area a little bit here. With that, I'm using the edge of that and dragging across that section into there. So I'm getting it right up along that edge there, and I'm just dragging across, trying to build up that body line there, just in case it got pushed down, which I feel like it did a little bit. Sure we get it even, consistent working across the area. Alright, honestly I think that's gonna work really well. I think when we get some AD on that, we'll have to do a little bit more minor kind of playing with it, but I think honestly guys, I think that's gonna do really nicely. Look down the surface. There's rippling. There's going to be rippling. That's what we're going to do the actual sanding for. We're going to block that surface and you're never going to see any of that. It's fantastic. I found it. There's last one other section over here that we found earlier in a different video. So, move this around. Right across here, right above the torch line, we have a little buckle in the plastic where it's actually beat upwards. So we're just going to push it down. Heat it up. Right, and it softens the plastic. It wants to start relaxing all that damage it does. Right? So make sure you go over a bigger area with your heat, and it will help relax anything that's distorted. Alright, it'll help everything settle down properly. Down here, all I'm going to do, I'm going to push my hammer in. I'm going to pull up from there. Or you just take the fingers flex it out. Alright. Not that hard. And you can see even, when I start pushing down here, this starts popping up here. So there's a good chance this was actually concaved a little bit instead of rounded off. Alright. Hard to tell now because I've already bent a lot of that back out. But that's already gone. Just one little spot right here. There you go. A little robe. That will stand out. Alright. Tune in for more videos on the plastic finishing.